Greetings and welcome to a Spirit Week edition of the Masuk Report. I'm Carl Bodner, and it's my pleasure to moderate a discussion regarding Masuk's decision to sign on for what is known as Rachel's Challenge. As background, allow me to explain that twice a month, Masuk students participate in what is known as an advisory group meeting. During these meetings, discussion and activities are conducted on issues and matters of concern that can be of benefit to our school community. During our recent advisory session, Masuk students learned about the challenge initiated by a 17-year-old student, Rachel Scott. A guest speaker provided a PowerPoint presentation during which he informed our students and faculty about Rachel's story. Rachel Scott was the first victim to be killed during the Columbine massacre. In addition, during their advisory sessions, students participated in discussion and activities that would allow them to express their thoughts and opinions about how we can change the atmosphere of our school to foster a safe, kind, and thoughtful community. The basic idea is to not accept prejudgment of one another and realize how an act of kindness can cause a chain reaction. Today we have 4 student panelists who will share their thoughts about what they experienced during the special event and what they think is needed to carry out the challenge in a meaningful and permanent way. Our panelists are, to my right, seniors Alex Carroll and Tim Allen, and to my left, junior Ray Kabza and senior Mirabella Pisani. Please remember that our roundtable is a discussion to which all panelists share in discussing. It is not a debate, but disagreement is certainly accepted. Firstly, I would like each panelist to comment on their experience with learning about Rachel's Challenge and participating in the group activities and the assembly presentation. So Tim, would you share what your thoughts are?
Personally, I enjoyed the entire presentation, Rachel's Challenge. I thought the most effective part was the assembly. I thought some of the stuff in the group activities we did in the advisory groups, at one point it didn't get too effective because some people were thinking about other things. But I think the most effective part was certainly the assembly because it hit you hard. They gave you facts, how many people died. It showed you families crying. I did think it was a little over the top when it got into the superstitious type of things, such as the man from Ohio calling, saying he had a vision, and the same thing with her drawing, with the blood, her crying 13 tears.
That turned to blood.
I thought that was a little over the top, but overall I did think it opened our eyes as a student body, and I do think that we will benefit from it in the future.
Alex, what was your impression?
I definitely agree. At first, I was a bit hesitant about opening my feelings to what the experience was going to be. I know during the advisory group meetings, we had to write an essay, and I'm thinking, oh, this is the last thing I want to do. But it really started to open my mind to the ideals and values that I hold in my life, and really made me question, what do I value above all else? Do I value friendship? Do I value love between my family and community? And how can I be a better person? Because really, what Rachel Scott has shown the world is that it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what you do, what matters is how you treat others. And so really, during the advisory groups, we began to explore our own morals and values that we hold in our lives, and we begin to question ourselves. But what really struck me, I agree with Tim, was the assembly, just being able to see the horrific event and to hear how it impacted her brother, who had to suffer through hatred for a long time, but how he finally overcame his hatred and was made a better person for it by learning forgiveness and just spreading the message to others. And it's a very potent message, and I think it was really great that the school just showed this message to all the students.
So it seems what you're suggesting here is that one of the characteristics Rachel possessed was a lot of human compassion, and that's something that we sometimes forget to share with one another.
You know, in everyday life, competition is just a huge factor. Just being the best, having the best of everything. And we need to learn, while yes, competition can be good, we also need to learn that no matter what, you shouldn't let that competition get to your character. You should maintain human just empathy for one another, because really in the end, forming those bonds, being kind to others, it will lead to a chain reaction, make the world a better place.
Well, Mirabella, share what you think about this whole event that we shared in as a school community.
I think it was a really good message. I mean, of course, anything that says that, you know, we should experience compassion is a wonderful thing to, you know, discuss. And I do agree with Alex and Tim that the advisory, it may have lost its meaning at some points, but the overall message of, you know, really discovering what our goals are in comparison to everyone else, and the hand posters, I really enjoyed that. I think it was just a way to see where everyone else was on the playing field, and then to be able to come together in the assembly and have the meaning of the day tie in with.
When you reflect back on your advisory group that you were a part of, did you find that most of the students shared your feelings?
Yeah, there were a couple people who had different points of views, and when we discussed those, you know, it was interesting to see why they felt those ways. But I think in general, everybody shared the same point of view that, you know, everyone should be kind to each other. And I mean, it seems cliche, but we all really did feel that there were certain attributes that should be characteristic in everybody to just help make the world a better place.
So it did have immediate impact, at least. Mm-hmm. Ray, what were your reflections on this?
I thought it was a very interesting way to look at it, because you could see that a lot of students were affected by it, because you look over and you see multiple students like crying and stuff, and they're really getting the message. So I thought that was a very good way to, like the PowerPoint and all the videos and stuff, I thought that was very good.
Tim had made a comment, I don't know if any of you shared his thinking, that there was one point in the presentation where they shared a story about a man from Ohio who did not know Rachel's family at all, randomly calls the dad and says he had this vision of, you know, an eye crying and tears falling onto a rose. And then all of a sudden it appears that one of Rachel's journals are found, and she has a drawing of that, and her English teacher saw it. And Tim commented that was a little over the top. Did you share that feeling, or did some of you feel this, what I'll call mysticism, has a basis to it?
Well, I can definitely see where Tim is coming from, because at first it does kind of put you off guard. Mysticism, it just kind of questions your views on mysticism and maybe even on religion. So it can kind of just at first put someone off guard, but I can see why Rachel's family and friends like want to share that piece of her story, because it did happen, and it intrigues the listener, and it kind of just makes the message hit the person more deeply, almost, just to consider that, you know, for a long time Rachel knew or said that she was going to die, and you keep wondering why she would say such a thing, but it really just brings the message home that, you know, the fact that there were 13 tears and 13 people died, it just, you know, brought it home that maybe the event, you know, came about for a reason. Maybe it came about to spread a broader knowledge of what can happen when things go wrong.
Any other thoughts or reactions?
Yeah, I think initially, you know, I was skeptical, and I thought, well, this is just for, you know, a wow factor in the whole presentation. But I don't know, thinking back on it, it was sort of, it definitely made me think, and a lot of my friends and I had discussions about that part specifically, because it just made us think, like, you know, they included this in the presentation for a reason, and just the fact that, you know, the man who called hadn't known the family, and that just the coincidence involved